There's these videos on YouTube. They've been up for quite a long time. And it's where you get the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu guys going up against these Kung Fu masters and karate black belts and so on. I don't know if you've watched these videos. They're kind of interesting, even if you're not into martial arts. And I'm nervous about playing them because I don't want to get blocked. But what I can tell you is, like, the guy here is a Kung Fu master and he goes up against the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy. This is what happens. He gets whooped. But instead of accepting that, he gets up and tries again. He gets whooped. And he gets up again. And he gets whooped. And over and over and over it happens. And unfortunately, the people from these traditional martial arts have had a really hard time accepting and coming to terms with the fact that the stuff that they have spent many years learning doesn't actually work. At least not as effectively, it would seem, against Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So those videos are on YouTube and they're kind of interesting. I recommend checking them out. And the denial is interesting. And I have to tell you that this is a type of denial, a type of energy that I've started to feel in some segments of the web development community. Ever since I've been doing these Framework Wars videos and showing you, look, here's this popular framework or whatever going against Strongate. It's astonishing to me how there are developers out there who cannot come to terms with the fact that their technology of choice just got whooped. And to me, they are exactly like these old karate masters and all that, who just keep on getting whooped and they just don't accept it. They cannot accept it, because to accept it would mean that everything they've been doing is wrong. So that's pretty much the theme of this video, and I hope you enjoy this. Hello folks, it's just gone after midnight here, and for me that means it's almost time for my early morning lunch break. In case you're wondering why I wear the coat, I'm about to go a little walk, you know. That's what I like to do when it's just gone past midnight usually, because as some of you know, I only sleep 3 hours a night most nights. Such is the way of the web developer extraordinaire. And while you folks are all hanging about doing whatever you do, I am here working. That's the way I choose to go. And to tell you the truth, I love it. But in any event, I want to respond to a little comment that came in. And this was regarding yesterday's Framework Wars video. And it was the video where I went against Node.js. Now, a lot of this is going to sound aggressive. Aggressive from both the comment poster, or whatever, the person who posted the comment, and from me. And the reason why I felt it was worth doing this video and reading this aloud is because I want you to feel the energy. Because even though it sounds aggressive and all of that, the truth is that I'm smiling and everybody is cool. Everybody's cool, you know. And sometimes you lose that energy when you just see the written word. So I'm going to read this, and here we go, right? So, Node.js, presumably enthusiast, comes on and says, somehow YouTube suggested to me your video, and I took time to watch it through the end. First off, I really hope not to disappoint you, and I really do not mean to hurt you. You're proud on your hard work. But the comparison is kind of lame. Node.js Odd, you know, supports asynchronous non-blocking I/O, so it can do more things like hot reloading, progressive web app, mobile app, React Native desktop app, and more. Node.js is isomorphic framework. Hey you in the back, wake up. It does that, and it lets you use GS in both client and server. Besides, Dino version has come out with much more features than Node.js, and it just supports remote modules and URL caching. Oh, no need to install NPM or Yarn anymore, blah, blah, blah. PHP even with the latest version 8, does not have these features. You can't just compare the two frameworks or whatever called on performance aspect, but on the whole that each framework provides. And what is more, you have not shown any real benchmark score between the two. Requests per second with many specific test cases like with, without database connection queries. Anyway, I just gave you one star at GitHub to encourage you and your team, and good luck on TronGate. In my humble opinion, perhaps it should have been the wars between StrongGate versus Laravel and the like, PHP based. Question mark. All right. So, funny how the commenter said you didn't produce any benchmarks. On the homepage of the TronGate site, I have a whole bunch of benchmarks, and nobody cares. I never produced them. These were brought by Adam Spencer. Thank you very much. Independent benchmarks here. Nobody cares. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that is a good thing. Because benchmarks are not actually the main reason why people should use TronGate. But let's not bother with that. I'm going to just read my response here, and I'll be as quick as I can, okay? Now, I'm going to skip the wee bit about credentials in the introduction. You can read that if you want. But basically, I tell the guy a wee bit about my credentials, and I said, I want you to know that I'm being really thoughtful and considerate when I tell you that your critique is lame. By the way, lame was his words, not mine. It's lame for a variety of reasons. Firstly, phrases like asynchronous non-blocking I/O do not dazzle me. The fact is, there are plenty of people out there who insist that PHP can be used asynchronously. Google it. However, with or without that being the case, something as simple as JavaScript's set timeout feature is a simple and practical workaround. Prove me wrong. Put bluntly, there's nothing that you can show me on a website written in Node.js that cannot be achieved with PHP and a little JavaScript. Secondly, the idea of saying PHP cannot do X is intellectually weak. It's weak because I can easily pull things out of the hat that PHP can do that Node.js cannot do. For example, PHP can function as a templating engine out of the box. Now, obviously, Node.js cannot. I choose not to play that hand, however, because I happen to think it's a rather weak debating strategy. A much more mature and better debating strategy would be to focus on what was actually presented. This is something that you bent over backwards to avoid doing. You never said a solitary word about productivity. You never uttered a sentence about character counts. You were completely insensitive to the fact that I built not one, but two, do you hear me? Apps that were frankly better than what the Node.js developer produced. I did this in far less time than he took. I did it with less typing. I did it with less talking. I did it with less thinking. I did it with zero. And I'll say it again. Zero. Are you paying attention? Are you paying attention? Pay attention when you're in class. I did it with zero third-party libraries. Do you understand that? Do you have any clue what that even means? Are you so utterly insensitive that this means nothing for you? It's not even worth a mention in your world. Is that about right? Not even worth a mention? Not even that. Did I not earn that? No, apparently not. Of course, you did not have a single syllable to offer regarding all of this, because for you, it's much easier to say words like asynchronous and other tidbits that would all fit perfectly on the back of a matchbox. You never said a word about any of that. It's as if the video above never even happened. Instead, you thought you'd come on and dazzle the web developer extraordinaire by dishing out phrases like asynchronous non-blocking I/O. In that regard, you failed. Even somebody who has no experience of web development whatsoever can see what you just did. The particular episode of Framework Wars that we're discussing here had nothing whatsoever to do with benchmarks, non-blocking I/O, or isomorphic frameworks, whatever the frack that is. This was all about productivity and answering a simple question. Which tool does the job better for this particular task? You have nothing to say about that because you've just watched Node.js get whooped, and the whooping was good. All you have is an attempt to dish out a few phrases that might have impressed some newbies back in 2015, along with a half-arsed attempt to bring Dino into the ring to bail you out. I think you failed in that regard too, because I've watched all of the Dino presentations on YouTube from the creator, that Ryan Dahl guy, not the children's author, and I happen to agree with his perspective that NPM is a broken ecosystem. The big news flash is, he and I agree. From a basic principles perspective, I dare say Trongate has more in common with Dino than Node.js. So you have failed, Your Highness. And yes, I am a Jedi. Then you say something about React. Look, I don't want to offend React developers. There's a very strong use case for React, and I respect that. However, React violates separation of concerns, and I assume you don't need me to explain why. Worse still, in the commercial sphere, React developers are generally less respected than specialists, and with good reason. Personally speaking, I think one code base to rule them all is the hallmarks of a school leaver. Personally speaking, I would choose Kotlin or Swift, let's say, over something like React any day of the week. In conclusion, you never had a solitary word to say about the material that was actually presented. That is the living, breathing definition of lame. You have nothing at all to say about what you have just allegedly watched, because there's not much you can say after such a thorough whooping. As for Laravel, I've already whooped Laravel in one of these framework wars. I whoop Laravel every day for breakfast and twice on a Sunday. For what it's worth, I think Laravel is much worse than Node.js. At least Node.js has some good things going for it. Laravel, on the other hand, is pure poison. Okay, I'm done. Thanks again for the star. You're welcome to join me on a live stream if you want to discuss any of this. I appreciate your comment. Thank you. Your comment is welcome, and all the best to you.